Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in this video I'm going to run through an edit which I would be doing for Instagram. Now when I'm working for a platform like Instagram, when I'm creating work that's going to end up on Instagram, I am totally aware that nobody's going to be viewing skin texture at this type of zoom. So I know that there's a lot of things that you can actually just not bother doing and it won't make any difference to the final image. So you really don't need to do a high-end beauty retouch for a picture that's going to end up on Instagram, especially when the focus is not the face. Obviously, if we're going to be doing makeup stuff, then you want to be as close to perfect as possible. But for something like this, there really isn't any need. So what I'm going to start off by doing is just mapping out the things that I want to change. And I'm going to do this purely for you, so you can have a look at the first process or the first consideration. So if we just start off with the model's face, she's lying on her side, which means the blood's rushing to her head. We've got this big vein here, little dark patch, couple of imperfections here, and we've got another vein thing going on over here. We've got a few stray hairs. Obviously, I'm not going to get rid of all of those, just the ones that are truly distracting. We've got a little bit of fluff going on here. I will probably just leave that. Let's move now on to the background or anything else that's distracting. We've got a few darker marks here. We've got a little spot here where the background isn't long enough. I'm going to get rid of this little screw that goes into the table. A couple of these light patches, because it's surrounded by dark areas, they can be distracting. And I've just noticed this little bit here. And I'm also going to sort out this button. A little mole on her hand, totally fine. And I think the rest of it we can leave as is. So that's going to be the overall guide. So let's get started with this. Now, what I'm going to suggest you do is when you're working on a picture where a model is lying down by her side, is actually rotate the canvas. If you press the R key on your keyboard and then actually just rotate, for me, it's more natural to be working in this way. It's easier on the wrist. And it's something that we pretty much edit portraits that are like this. We don't always edit portraits where the person is on their side. I just find it makes it a lot easier. Now I'm going to go through a pretty quick process here of how to edit. And all I'll do is I'm going to make a copy of this layer. I'm going to jump straight over to my spot healing brush tool. I'm going to obviously increase the size. I'm going to check what we've got in the settings. That looks fine. I'm not going to get too finicky about this. I'm just going to knock out these little spots. I'm going to try and do this really quick. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I'm not going to be changing the mode from darken to lighten. I'm just going to go straight in there. It might be a little bit rushed. Let's just zoom in. But I'm not bothered about it being 100% perfect because I know it's not even going to be noticed when we get into Instagram. Now, just a quick tip. When you're working with light hair, if you actually change the blending mode to darken, this will simply darken the lightest areas and it tends to give you a good look. However, there are times, like in this case, where it's darkened everything. So I'm going to make this brush a little bit smaller. I'm going to try and just isolate that one spot and see what happens. Still not perfect. So what I'll do is I'll come over to normal and I'm going to see how that works. Because sometimes the normal is the better option. And in this case it is. So I'll often just use normal most of the time when I'm doing these kinds of things. And I'm only looking for the lightest crosshairs really, because they are the ones that could be noticed. Now, even now, I'm very mindful. I'm actually doing too much here. I'm just going to clean up that one that runs there, one there, and I'm just going to sort out all these ones that are on the dark area because they are really going to stand out because of the contrast. Just clean up that one off the forehead. I'll get rid of that crosshair there, this one here. And let's just come back out. Yeah, there are obviously a few more elements here, but I'm not gonna get too bothered about that. I'm just going to leave it because I know it's not going to make much difference later on. Let's just come into here. I'll just take that bit out there, and I'm just going to heal in here like that. And it's a hell of a lot you can do with just this one brush. Let me just quickly take out that long one and there. Okay, so that's it in terms of the actual healing on the face. I'll make this a little bit bigger. I'll do a drop there, drop there, drop there. That'll sort that out. Now I need to use the clone tool, so I'll hold S, hit my Alt key, sample. I'll come into this section, I'll take that, I'll match that up, and that's good. Now I'll use my marquee tool. I'll just select this area, shift backspace, content aware, get rid of that guy. What else did we say? Yeah, we were going to sort out a couple of these guys. Let's just blob there, do a blob there with a nice soft brush. Okay, now the next problem we're going to deal with is the skin color. Notice these horrible yellowy patches on the face. It's from makeup, and it's just, you know, sometimes happen when it's caked on like this. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to fix the color. Normally I leave color to the end after I've smoothed out the skin. Actually, that's what I'll do. I'll smooth out the skin first, and then we'll go through the color. Now for this, I'm going to use my frequency separation action. I'll link you down below where you can actually get this action. I have put it on other videos, but I'll do it again. Low frequency. This is my mixer brush tool method. You can see my settings here. Wet 40, load 39, mix 23, flow 40, custom, and it cleans the brush every time I do a stroke. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to just push, push, push. Okay, I'm actually pushing the light pixels onto the dark, and I'm creating very wispy type strokes. It's very light. I'm just teasing that. Again, here you can see it's a bit dark, so I'm just gonna try and tease that out a little bit. Don't have to get rid of it fully, and then I'll increase the brush size and I'll do another sweep, which will create a slightly softer appearance. Now we'll come in the face. I'll pull some of this light area here, and I'll try and lift some of these darker areas in the eye. Over here by the face, again, I'm just going to pull the light area up now, create a little bit of smoothing, not going excessive, and I'm going to pull this light area down into this darker area. And equally, I'll try and smooth a little bit of this area out too. And the chin, I'll do a couple of taps as well. Okay, that's all I'm going to do. I'll just show you before and after of that. We've gone from there to there, super quick. And we've retained all the texture as well, because we're actually working on the low frequency layer. All the texture is still there. It doesn't look overly smooth in my opinion. Let's come up to our color layer now. We'll change that to, turn that on, change that to color. Sorry, not that one. Let's make a new layer here. Let's drag it underneath. We'll get rid of that planning layer. Click this to color. Then I'll get my regular brush. Make sure it's nice and soft now. Make it a little bit bigger. And then what I will do is I'm going to hold down the Alt key and I'm going to sample like a neutral color. I'm going to go with her neck, where there isn't any makeup generally. And then I'm just going to literally apply it to all these areas which are very orange. You can see instantly we've made quite a big difference there. So essentially I'm recoloring the skin using the sampled color from the neck. Get a bit in the ear, ears are looking a bit yellow. Okay, now obviously that looks far too dead, essentially. She looks like a bit of a zombie here. So I'm going to change now the opacity. I'm going to bring it right down. I'm going to pull it up until I get where I'm at. And 49% looks good. Let's go a little bit higher. Okay, 54. I'm going to zoom out. Let's see what we get. Let's turn that on and off. That's fine for me. 54%. I'm going to rotate this guy back now into the position it should be. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. And let's do a quick before and after. Before, after, looks quite nice. What I'll do now is I'll add a little bit of a color grade. So I'll click on my color balance. Midtones, I'm literally gonna bump up the blues a little bit, plus 10. Highlights, I'm gonna bring in the cyan a little bit, minus 10. Shadows, I'm gonna up the reds, plus 6. Okay, so this is the before, this is the after with the grade. Really nice, simple, clean little grade there. Then I'm going to add a final curves layer. Let's look at the curves here. Let's go to linear contrast. Okay, that's quite nice. Linear contrast will do. Is it a bit too strong? No, it's perfect. Okay, and that's my grade done. You can see everything's nice and sharp. I could be quite critically and say, okay, I need to fix the eye. It's a little bit on the red side. I could change that up. Let me show you how I would do the eye. I'm gonna again work on this color layer. Get my brush. I'm gonna sample this light color, and I'm just gonna paint that in here. That's taken a lot of the redness out. A little bit too strong though. So I'm going to pull it back again. And this time I'm going to change my brush to like 30%. And I'll do a couple of dabs just there. I want a little bit of a grade. That looks good. And I'll come onto the high frequency layer as well. I'll get my brush, my spot healing, and I'll just remove a little bit of that texture just there and there. Okay, eye looks a little bit cleaner. Essentially that's it. Then you can go through your sharpening as you wish, and that for me is a very quick edit, but it's enough. Let me just stick all this in a group. I'll just call this edit now, and then let's look at the before and the after. The before and the after, and you can see just from a few little things we've done that are not all linked to the model but background, and so we cleaned it up, given it a little bit of a grade. No need for high-end, spending hours and hours. Just use the mixer brush. I mean, look how nice that finishes on the face. Just using the mixer brush. Let me zoom in here just so you can see before and after. Yep, and it's all about subtleties and how you actually use your brush stroke in order to ensure it doesn't look fake. That for me looks lovely. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, if you want me to go into depth in any more of these techniques, I know I did it pretty quick because I wanted this to be a quick one today, then do let me know. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thanks for all my regular viewers. I appreciate you all. Have a lovely day. I'll see you next time.